Good morning, everybody. I'm Patrick Duffy, and I'm super excited to be back in the Nasdaq studios overlooking Times Square in New York City. Today is part 11 of our series, Future Thinker, which runs in tandem with Design Pavilion, an annual event celebrating design and architecture in the heart of New York City's Times Square during the NYC by Design Festival. Our series explores how agents of change, disruptors, and leaders in the design industry will shape tomorrow and what they're doing today to make a positive impact on people and planet. My next guest has worked within the design industry for over 30 years and is the co-founder of the world's leading digital platform for emerging designers and artists and the launchpad for the next generation of creative talent, helping thousands of creatives launch their own brands and gain employment worldwide, building relationships with 780 creative institutions, giving access to well over 300,000 students in approximately 100 countries. Partnering with companies like Nike, Levi's, BBC Worldwide, Herman Miller, Premier Vision, London Design Festival, and many, many more. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Alex Brownless from ArtsThread. Alex, welcome. That is quite an impressive list that you've got there.
Yeah, it's took 10 years.
It's taken 10 years. So can you give us a little bit of an insight of how it came about and how you grew so much?
Well, originally it was a magazine.
Okay.
So 10 years ago, a very dear friend who I used to work with a company called WGSN, created a magazine called ArtsThread, and it was all about emerging talent. And that magazine just blew me away. And at the time, I just said to Katie, I said, look, why don't we make this a website? And so I invested, and the rest is history.
So what does that, tell us what ArtsThread does exactly. Like,
so originally it was purely a portfolio site. So students would upload their portfolios before they graduate, and whether that be fashion or textiles or animation, you name it, right across the board, the whole creative sector.
Yeah.
It blew out of all proportion because it was free, and it still is free. So the students upload their profile, their projects, and sit alongside their peers. The likes of Nike and Urban and BBC.
And so they upload their profile, but you actually are facilitating relationships between students and brands and creating competitions, right?
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so we decided about 7 years ago to engage with the industry even more, and ask my friends in the industry, because I've been in the industry quite a long time, on both sides of the Atlantic, whether they were finding it difficult to get their hands on new talent, and it's problematic, So we help facilitate that, and by doing real briefs with industry, it's been super successable. It's the reason why we're here today.
Give us an example. Yeah, actually, give us an example of what you're doing here in Times Square with Design Pavilion.
So
walk us through that whole.
Yeah. Well, the relationship started last year. So we started on doing a competition with a company called Avery Dennison, who one of the world's largest packaging printing companies. So we launched a competition that was an interactive competition where the work was on display in Times Square through Design Pavilion, and then everyone found out that, oh, these guys are quite handy because they've got access to young talent, the future movers and shakers. And so we then aligned with Herman Miller, with Magis, the Italian furniture company, and now this year we're working with the Nasdaq, we're working with Azimut Yachts. But it's quite simple. The companies give us a brief, and then we put the brief out to all the community, and they upload the work, and the rest is,
So what happens with? So we're working with. You're doing a brief in Times Square with Azimut Yachts, which is super exciting. So what does that brief process look like?
So it's reasonably simple. Azimut are looking for yacht designers, transport, industrial product designers, but also I suggest it might be quite a nice idea to engage with the interior and interior architects. So we launched that a couple of weeks ago, and that competition normally a competition lasts 2 months, and then we facilitate all of that. We put all the work back to the client, and the client think, wow, love that. Give them an award. It could be an internship opportunity. It could be a full-time job.
Yeah.
It could be simply just winning a major prize.
Or a residency. Like, for instance, with this one, I think they get to go to Italy for how long?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, and do what?
Design yachts.
So I want to do that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind doing it myself, but I've passed it. I'm a bit too old now for that sort of stuff.
So how can what you're doing with ArtsThread really help a big brand, not just Azimut Yachts, but like Nike or Nasdaq? Like, how does arts and culture help brands?
Yeah, so that no matter where you look, creativity is around you, right? Everything that you're wearing is textiles, it's fashion, how we look. So we are relevant to everybody, right? The fact that we've got these wonderful relationships with nearly 800 universities, design schools, we're the glue. So, a company might just be looking for a corporate identity, a logo design, or just a mural, which is what we're doing with the Nasdaq. We're doing a 25-foot by 5-foot mural that's going to be on display here in the Nasdaq.
Beautiful.
And once the student finds out about it, they think, wow, I want to be part of that, because it launches them,
Can you give me a little insight? So we've been talking a lot about sustainability this week with the Impact Summit that we just did here at Nasdaq on Monday, and you are actually working with tons of young people, over 300,000. What is the next, can you give us some insight to the next generation, and what are they saying? What are they doing looking to the future when it comes to design and sustainability and having to create change? Can you give us some insight?
Yeah, it's a major focus. So more so than, when I graduated, it was 30 years ago. And I wasn't interested in, I was quite selfish, right? But the majority of the students today, seriously, globally, not here just in America, but UK, worldwide, they've got a conscience, and they're worried about the planet, they're worried about climate change, and they're unbelievable. So any projects that we give to them which are that way inclined, they're all over it. I mean, more so than something that might just be a logo design, but when there's some real meaning behind it. We work with people like Greenpeace and United Nations on little competitions every year. The engagement is massive. It's really interesting. The dynamic of the younger generation is completely different to what it was even 10 years ago.
That's great to hear. So could you possibly say that these young people are actually maybe even forming big brands about,
Yeah, 100%. So, that's the thing that, wasn't apparent when we first created ArtSthread. All it was originally, as I said, was just a portfolio site, and then we went at the next level and created competitions. But then we thought, wait a minute, the young generation, they've got a lot to say. They're quite opinionated, and quite rightly, because the world's changed quite a lot since I was a kid. So, if we do...
And they have a lot to deal with what we've left them, right?
Yeah, like ocean plastic. And I'll give you an example. There's a young designer that, I actually came across him, but we came across at ArtSthread. And, he's created, he literally went to the local supermarket and said, look, give me all your plastic, which obviously would end up in ground fill or whatever. And he's created hi-fi systems.
Oh, wow.
And each and every single one of them are like one-off pieces, because, the plastic, they have different
all variants,
colors.
yeah.
It's amazing. And so, they're thinking, they're thinking long term, they're not thinking short term. I think that's the thing to emphasize.
I want to know what you're thinking long term, because to have this powerful, massive network of people at your fingertips, that really can create a positive impact. And I know that you're doing so many incredible projects that I would love to talk about today, all of them. But what are you looking at for the future with ArtSthread? What's next for you?
I think, we've been an open access, free system. So this, the industry, come to us and they can hire free, right? There's no intermediate. But then because it's got so big, the industry now coming to us and say, look, hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer, I'm looking for a fashion designer, I'm looking for an animator. When people like Pixar come to the site and look at animators on our site and hire them for what we know. But what we now need to do, and to go to the next level, is get involved with buildings around the world and create incubator spaces, right? So, and again, we could do that through competitions. So, the finest talent will rise to the top, because that's normally what happens. But we don't want to just do it here in New York or London. We want to do it worldwide, like a WeWork principle, but solely focused on creativity.
So an actual physical space.
Yeah, and we're starting it in London in 6 weeks' time. We've got a 8,000 square foot building. It's been gifted to us in East London.
That's another show. We need to talk about that.
I won't go any further than that. There's a lot to it. But the idea is that the students, when they've graduated, they've got to have a business plan.
Incredible.
And we eyeball them and say, look, you're not just going to get in because you're paying. You're going to come in because you've got talent and you've got something, you've got a passion, you've got a drive, and that it's important, because they need a break. And that's why I get excited about ArtSthread, because it's not me, it's who I represent. The community is global, in Guatemala and Reykjavik, in all sorts of mad places. And it's, you know, it's a level playing field, you know.
And everybody, I have to agree with you, and with technology bringing us so much closer together, it's really exciting to see how we can collaborate globally
100%.
now. Alex, it has been such a pleasure. I could talk to you all day. You're incredible, and your excitement and enthusiasm for what you do is infectious. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming to join us here at Future Thinker. Please check out ArtStud, and please come to Design Pavilion in Times Square. Meet Alex and find out what's happening. Or if you're a designer, student, creator, or creative, go ahead and log on to artthread.com and upload your portfolio, and let's see what happens. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time at Future Thinker here at Nasdaq. Thank you.